Hi all, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we will be covering terms and conditions. So this is in continuation to our ISO 42001 series, and in this we will see the building blocks of ISO 42001, which are the concepts, or we can understand the key terminology which are being utilized in the ISO 42001 framework. Right. So let's start with that. So the first is AI systems. So AI systems is basically nothing but the system which we develop, right, for reducing the human efforts or making the human faster, right? So let's say, for example, the AI system which can generate predictions, it can generate recommendations, or it can help us in decisions or content creations, right? So those are the systems which we call it as a AI systems, right? So examples are like ChatGPT, which can answer your questions, whatever you give the inputs, it gives you the output based on your requirement, right? Netflix recommends different kinds of movies. There are AI systems which is being used by the banks, which is basically for fraud detection systems. So these are the different examples of AI systems. Then we have AI management system. So AI management system is nothing but it is a structured way of managing your AI within an organization. So it includes policies, procedures, responsibilities, risk management, continual improvement, right? So it is a complete framework which can help you to implement the AI management framework in your organization. It is similar to ISO 27001, ISO 9001. So any kind of framework, it is as similar to that only. Responsible for approving AI policies, AI budgets, AI resources, and ensuring the AI is aligned to our the business goals. So they are not the ones those who are actually building the AI themselves, right? But they make sure that the organization uses AI responsibly. So, for example, the CEO may approve AI strategies and allocate the budget for AI governance. So, without leadership support, AI management systems cannot be successful, right? So, every organization needs to have a top management support from top to bottom level. Then we have interested parties and the stakeholders. So, interested parties are also called as a stakeholders. So, they are basically the people or the organization that can influence or be affected by AI systems, right? So that includes customers, employees, regulators, business partners, suppliers, and even individuals whose data is being processed by AI. So every stakeholders has a different expectations, right? For example, the customer expects accurate results, regulator expects the legal compliances are being followed, and the employee expects the AI is fair, right? So these are all the expectations from different. So the different stakeholders have different expectations. So based on that, we have to design our AI systems, right? Then we have risk. Risk is basically the possibility that something may prevent us from achieving our objective. We can even call it as effect of uncertainty on an objective, right? So in an AI, risks are not only about cybersecurity, but also about biasness, incorrect decisions, privacy issues, legal problems, or reputational damage, right? So every AI system has some or the other level of risk, right? So organization have to identify those risks and manage those risks, right? So to share you an example, we have an AI recruitment system, right? So which is actually favoring certain candidates over others, right? So it is leading to unfair hiring decisions, right? So we have to manage all such risks, we have to identify all such risks, and we have to mitigate all such risks during our AI life cycle. Then we have AI impact system. So AI impact system is a structured approach to review and understand how the AI system may impact the people, organizations, or a society, right? It helps us to identify risk before AI is deployed. The assessment considers privacy, fairness, ethics, security, and the legal compliances, right? So we have to make sure that all these things are being considered when we do a impact assessment for any kind of AI systems. Then we have data quality. So AI is only good when we have a good data, right? So data quality means the data should be accurate, complete, consistent, and up to date, right? So that it gives us the intended output, right? So poor quality of data produces poor quality of results, right? And we often call it as a garbage, right? So for example, if the customer records contains incorrect informations, and AI recommendation system will also give incorrect recommendations, right? So if you don't have correct data, the output will also be incorrect, right? So the data quality is very important. The next we have is statement of applicability, which is also called as SOA, right? It is a document that lists all the annexure A controls in ISO 42001. It explains which controls to apply to the organization and why, right? So if the control is not applicable to the organization must provide a proper valid justification for that particular exclusion, right? So for example, the company is not actually developing the AI models, right? So the development related controls for that particular controls can be excluded, right? And with a proper justification. So the next we have is continual improvement. So continual improvement means the AI management system should keep getting better and better over time. And the organization should learn from the incidents, audit findings, customer feedbacks, and changing regulations. So AI constantly evolving. So the governance must also evolve. So for example, if the user reports inaccurate AI response, the organization should improve the model, right? Update the process or provide additional training until the output is until we get the proper output. So the next we have is governing body. The governing body is a group of responsible people overseeing the organization overall directions and performance, right? So depending on the organization, this could be the board of directors, it could be trustees, it could be executive committees, it could be a governing body, right, for managing this entire AIMS process. They ensure that the AI is aligned with the business objectives, comply with laws and ethical principles. While the top management runs day-to-day operations, the governing body provides strategic oversight. For example, the board may review AI risk during quarterly governance meeting, right? So that is what we call as a governing body. Next we have is documented information. So documented information includes all the documents and the records required to operate AI management system. This includes AI policies, procedures, risk assessment, audit reports, minutes of meetings, training records, evidence of compliances, right? So this documents helps us to improve that the organization follows ISO 42001 requirement. So for example, keeping the record of AI risk assessment and corrective actions demonstrate that we are effectively managing our governance or the requirements of the standard. So that we call it as a documented information. The next we have is non-conformity. So the non-conformity means the requirements are not being met. So as we discussed, there are in the standards we have so many mandatory requirements. So if we fail to achieve those requirements, that means we have a non-conformity, right? So this could be a missing process, it could be an incomplete documentations or a failure to follow the established process, right? So if we forget to follow the process, if we miss the particular steps, right, or if we have incomplete documentations, the risk assessment we follow, but I mean the risk assessment is not complete, right? So that means we are not actually following the standard requirement and we are not meeting the requirements. So that we call it as a non-conformity. So the next we have is ISO roles, right? So ISO clearly identifies different roles in the AI ecosystem, right? And different AI roles has a different responsibilities, right? So the first one we have is AI providers. So AI providers are basically the platform providers that develops the foundational AI technology on which the other organization builds AI applications. So the example of those are Anthropic, which is a Claude, OpenAI, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, DeepSeek. Okay, so there are various different platforms which actually gives you the different AI platforms readily available, right? So we just go and integrate those applications or those models into our applications directly. So those are basically a platform providers. So the next we have is AI producers. So AI producers are the organizations or a team that designs, develop, train, test, deploy, monitor, or govern AI systems. This introduces developers. This includes, I mean, developers, designers, operators, evaluators, and governance, right? So developers may be like ML engineers who actually build and train AI models. Designers may be responsible for UI UX designing, research, shaping human AI interaction flows, right? Operators can be DevOps teams running an AI systems in productions or maybe helping deployment processes on cloud or maybe anywhere. Operators, then we have evaluators who are actually red teamers who can go and do the testing of the security testing of the AI systems, auditors who can audit our systems, and the bias testers. Then we have governance. Governance can be like AI ethics board, compliance officers, risk managers, right? So they actually go and verify different kinds of ethics, what we follow in our AI systems. Compliance is whether we are meeting the compliance requirements in the AI systems, yes or no. Risk, whether we are identifying all the risk or whether we are mitigating all the risk of the AI systems, right? So those are AI producers. Then we have is AI customer. So AI customers are the organizations or individual who purchase or use AI services. It includes a business customers, those who are actually integrate AI into their business processes. For example, hospital purchasing an AI diagnostic system, right? So they must have integrated AI into their hospital management system, right? End users are those who interact directly with AI, performing their work, such as lawyer using AI to summarize their legal documents, right? Then we have consumers. So consumers are basically uh, use AI every day like an assistant, right? So, for example, ChatGPT, Alexa, smartphones, AI feature, right? So, we are actually using AI on our day-to-day basis, right? So, basically, those are the consumers. So, one organization can simultaneously act as both AI producers and AI customers depending on how it develops and use AI. Then we have AI partners. AI partners are basically integrators. It includes integrators, data providers, and infrastructure, right? So integrators can connect AI systems with their existing infrastructures, right? So it can be an IT consultancy connecting AI APIs into their enterprise applications, for example, ERP, CRM, or any kind of enterprise applications. Those are basically the integrators, right? Then we have is data providers. So data providers are basically supply data set for AI systems to use for training or interferences, right? So if I want to develop my own AI system, right, or AI, I want to develop my own AI model, right? So from where I can get the data, right? So the data providers can provide me the data, and I can utilize those data to train my models and then utilize those AI systems to make it more accurate and perfect. Then we have is infrastructure, which is we have taken an example of NVIDIA, which is providing a GPU hardware for AI model training and deployment, right? So we can utilize NVIDIA based CPUs and GPUs to deploy our AI systems and utilize AI systems and deploy our AI systems on the hardware, NVIDIA hardware, right? Then we have is data subject. So data subject, we have a data subject is nothing but an individual whose personal information is being processed by an AI system, right? So for example, if my resume or my information is being used by an AI system, that means I became an AI subject for that particular model, right? The next is affected parties. So affected parties are nothing but the person who is getting affected by the AI decisions, right? So here we have taken an example where a loan applicant whose credit worthiness is being accessed by AI. So my data is being processed using AI, and it is not actually being providing the accurate results. So I cannot trust that particular the score which is being provided by the AI systems. The next we have is community. So community is nothing but a group of people who may be affected by an AI system, even if we never use it directly, right? So the AI decisions or actions can impact entire community, neighborhood, or a society. When an organization develop AI, they should think beyond individual users and consider the wider social impact. So we have to make sure that it does not impact the social, it does not impact the individual, it does not impact the society. So example here I can take is imagine a city uses AI to control traffic lights, right? So the AI affects everyone on the road by reducing traffic, or if it makes a poor decision, it can cause congestion. The next we have is AI regulators. So regulators are basically the person those who enforce AI related laws, investigate violations, right? So example can be like EU, European Union AI Act, it can be data protection laws, or it can be any kind of national regulations, right? Then we have policymakers. The policymakers are basically those who create AI laws, AI regulations, governance framework, governance, government bodies, or a parliament, right? So they are actually, we can call it as a policymakers. So the next we have is standard body. The standard body develops globally accepted best practices for AI governance, right? So quality, safety, security, governance, all these parameters are being covered on those particular standard, right? So here we have taken an example where we are implementing right now is ISO 42001, which is actually covering your AI governance system, right? So ISO is one of the standard body which is actually creating different standard, different frameworks. That is it for this video. And from the next video, we will cover clause 4. We will start the actual implementation. We will start actually understanding the different clauses requirement for ISO 42001, and we will cover step by step. So each video will have a different clause, and once we cover all the clauses, we will uh, go to annexure A, which is the control requirements, and we will understand the control requirements and how we can implement those controls in our organization, right? So we will actually cover entire implementation process of ISO 42001, right? So stay tuned. Please do like and subscribe to the channel, and keep watching. More and more content will keep on coming on this particular channel. Thank you.